The bond between music of any genre and radio has always been deep and unbreakable. After all, where would music or musicians be without radio, and vice versa? So it's only fitting that tonight's roster of honorees include Philadelphia radio giant, Pierre Robert. It is equally appropriate that Pierre be welcomed into the Walk of Fame by a gentleman who is both a longtime friend of his and a longtime colleague. For more than 20 years, Matt Cord has been part of the rock music broadcast community. Woo! Here in Philly. First, at the late great Y100. Nothing for Y100. Focus. Okay. Then at my alma mater, WMMR. And for the past 3 years as the morning drive host at 95.7 Ben FM. And of course, the soon-to-be NBA champion Philadelphia 76ers know him as the guy who will soon begin his 23rd season as the team's home game public address announcer. Please join me in welcoming to the stage the man who will induct Pierre Robert into the PMA Walk of Fame. Ladies and gentlemen, Matt Cord.
Well, good evening, everybody. I think it's only fitting that we're running ever so slightly behind, and it's time to talk about Pierre Robert. Let me just say, it's going to be very, where are you, dude? It's going to be very difficult to describe how important Pierre Robert is to the city of Philadelphia in my allotted time of 2 minutes. 2 minutes is what Pierre calls a speed break in radio. But I'm truly honored to be up here to present Pierre with his very own plaque in the Philly Walk of Fame. Me having grown up in Glen Mills, Delaware County, and being a fan of Pierre and NMR and the Hooters, this is really neat. And to work with Pierre, on and off for 30 years, I've seen firsthand how special this guy really is. When you think about tonight and Pierre, tonight it's a love story. A love story between a diverse, loyal, blue-collar city and a kind, free-spirited, long-haired kid raised in the cultural hotbed of San Francisco in the 60s and 70s. Now, over the course of almost 4 decades, Pierre has navigated numerous ownerships at MMR, programming philosophies, focus groups, music tests, perceptual studies, slogans. Pierre survived the slogan, "We've grown up, you've grown up." But he survived it all. And when you think about it, like 39 years at one job, that's a pretty remarkable feat. But 39 years at one radio station, pretty much having that exact same shift the entire time, it just doesn't happen. And probably never will again. His audience, Pierre's audience, not only loves him, but Pierre has that gift to make them feel like they're part of his family, like the MMR family. And whether it's college professors or construction workers or homemakers or somebody at Wawa, they all love him. And they all refer to him by just one name, like Kobe, like LeBron, like Magic. These are really good basketball players, Pierre. They refer to him as Pierre. Pierre played my workforce block today. Pierre, dude, I've been listening to you since high school. Pierre, I need a zap. Pierre, you rock. And to see him out at a concert or at any event, every 5 steps he takes, someone stops him. Someone wants to shake his hand. Someone wants to give him a hug. Someone wants to take a selfie. And he's so approachable, and he's so loved. And I've always used this analogy from Kevin Gunn, who's over there, longtime employee of MMR. When you hang out with Pierre in the public, it's like hanging out with Gandhi at a breadline. Ladies and gentlemen, it is my sincere pleasure and honor to induct into the Philly Walk of Fame everyone's favorite great citizen, Pierre Robert.
Frederick Cord, a true Philadelphia legend. On Ben FM in the morning these days, and the voice, as was mentioned by Mark, of the Philadelphia 76ers. He is the essence of Philadelphia, so thank you, Matt. I hope someday you have a plaque on this walk as well. Thanks to the Philadelphia Music Alliance and the PMA chairman, Alan Rubens, all the folks who work so hard, Randy Alexander, Aaron Riley, Laura Lewis from our staff, and Tony Perrone, and the great Geeter for hosting this afternoon, and Mark Goodman for hosting tonight. And thank you for coming out. These things are pretty special. I'm also glad that the PMA has chosen over the years to honor some of the great radio folks in this town. And I don't speak of myself, I speak of several others that came before me. Geeter mentioned some of them. Two of my particular heroes are alive and well and still broadcasting. One of them, this weekend, will celebrate 63 years of playing one artist. I speak of Sid Mark, the sounds of Sinatra. He loved Frank Sinatra. He drank with Frank. And he plays his music and kept him alive when nobody cared about Sinatra. Sinatra, the original rock star, by the way, loved Sid. I love Sid. He's a delightful man. And the other great legend that I worship and adore is Jerry Blavitt, wherever you are. The heater with the heater, the boss with the hot sauce, the pots, the pans, all the plans. There's no one like the Geeter. So you got Sid and you got Jerry. They are the very epitome of class and cool and so much more. Congratulations to all the honorees and inductees and all the contributions they've made around the country, certainly in the city, around the country, and around the world, but particularly my beloved Hooters. And for so many reasons, when you go to see them, you experience waves, as I say, waves of joy coming off the stage. They are craftsmen, they are creators, they are brilliant songwriters, incredible performers. And tonight happens to be an anniversary. I believe it was 1985. Nervous Night had come out, had been released, and it had just hit platinum, selling 1 million copies. And they launched a series that Larry Magid and Electric Factories put on at the Tower Theater. They put one show on. It sold out. A second, sold out. A third, fourth, fifth, sixth, and tonight is the anniversary of the 7th show of that run. And I say that because it's not Bruce Springsteen, not David Bowie has ever matched that. You guys are just amazing. So, coming from the city by the bay to the city of brotherly love, arriving with no money and a beat-up Volkswagen van named Minerva with bald tires, working in a health food store on South Street because I applied to a radio station. They say, "You're too mellow, you sound like you're from California." And I said, there could be a reason for that. But finally, the station I wanted to get on is the one I got on, and that was in November of 1981. And if you know anything about radio, as Matthew referenced, you know that it does not come with a lot of job security. And then you keep going, and a day passes, and a month passes, and a year, and several years. So November will be 39 years for me at this one amazing radio station. I might be approaching the record, I don't know. But that's not the story. The story is the station itself. MMR has been on the air in this town since April of 1968. That is 51 and a half years as a rock and roll radio station. It's almost unheard of. It's extraordinary, and think of it this way. In this era of downloads and satellite and streaming services and all the rest, it is still alive and well. We're not just squeaking by, we're thriving. We're number one in almost every category that they rate. And there's a reason for that. Certainly the music, certainly our advertisers, our incredible listeners, but the incredibly talented men and women who've worked in front of the microphones and behind the scenes so very hard over the years and added their story to ours. A moment to thank them. Some not with us anymore, some have moved on to other activities. Some names you might recognize, but I owe an extraordinary debt of gratitude to them. And here's the deal about thank you lists. You know, you see these award shows and people thank people, and it might not be the most exciting thing hearing a bunch of names, but here's what I want you to think about as I say some of these names. I want you to think about whether you're in any form of limelight or not. Think about your journey. Think about the road of your life. Think about how it's taken you to where you are now, and look back on some of the cool things that have happened, some of the things you're really proud of, and know that you didn't do that by yourself. You did that with the help and the love and the support of all kinds of people around you. Every one of us has this. I'm just lucky enough to be able to thank you and thank them for about the next 45 minutes. It's a special award. You know, I'm not going to get it twice. I'm embedded on Broad Street once. I'm going to take my time. I'm going to tell what I got to tell. I'm going to say what I got to say. And hopefully you'll stay with me for it. You know, and here's one more thing. Think about this. I took a seminar in San Francisco about acknowledgement. And what the guy said who was leading it, he said, here's an idea. Why don't we acknowledge people while they're still alive? Let's not go to the funeral and see the guy or the girl in the box and say, he was incredible. Did you know he did this? She was incredible. Didn't you know she did that? How about if we tell them so they can hear it here and now? Acknowledge the people. That's what all of this is about, but it's all of our lives that we can do that. So I get to acknowledge it and thank some people. The first two gentlemen who hired me, Charlie Kendall and Joe Bonadonna. Our company, as Matt referenced, we've had a lot of owners. The first one was Metro Media. And the various owners along the way could have given up when times got a little rough, but they didn't. And we're blessed to be in the company right now of the Beasley Media Group. And they get it. They were founded in 1961 by a true radio pioneer by the name of George Beasley. And keeping it in the family today, we have our CEO, Caroline Beasley, who was kind enough to fly in for this event. Thank you, Caroline. She, along with President Bruce Beasley, COO, Brian Beasley, and some of the rest of the national crew, including Heidi Raphael, our Chief Communications Officer, our great national programmers, Buzz Knight and Justin Chase, and then our local staff, who are just phenomenal. And any organization you work at, think about the people who surround you. Again, the helpers that make it work. If you like your job. If you don't, I'm really sorry. Well, I love my job. And our general manager, incredibly cool guy, Joe Bell. The gentleman I refer to as our conductor of our orchestra, our program director, Bill Weston. Just an amazing, amazing man. Assisted by Chuck D'Amico. I think we have the best radio promotions team in the United States of America. Eric Simon and Todd DeFeo are responsible for that. Our incredible engineering department, Rodney Bird is like the MacGyver of engineering. Something breaks, he goes, I've got a shoelace, I can put that and connect that with that wire and do that and then hang from the ceiling for 5 hours and we got it fixed. He's amazing. Steve Lashinsky and the staff of our local AFTRA and SAG office. And some of my family and friends are here. Thanks to my parents, Ed and Katie. I have my brother Renee and my sisters Clarice and Suzanne, who's here. And my little brother Frank, who came all the way from Lake Tahoe. We got my friend Queen Chandler talk about longevity. She ran the traffic department of our station for 37 years. MMR has a kind of vibe that people don't want to leave there. You know, that says a lot. We've had some incredible people who've worked there over the years, and our sales staff, including Paul Blake and Jim Nantes and Bill Burns. We have Paula Decker and Tricia Long, two salespeople who've been with us forever. They could go anywhere. They've stayed. I want to thank my longtime business manager, Steve Mountain, who has helped me in so many different ways. I can't even begin to thank you, Steve. Continues to do that today, and the staff at Cornerstone Management, including Chris McNellis and Dana Brennan. And my producers, my long-suffering producers through the years, I have had to pay for their therapy bills, but it's been worth it. Starting with my dear friend Kevin Gunn. His abundant passion for this city knows no boundaries. And when I first applied, I applied, they didn't want me at the time, but I put my name in the hat And MMR was having an event on the Parkway, and they had a tent, and I lived around the corner in a little apartment. I went over there, and I was kind of afraid to approach it. I'm just here from San Francisco a couple of weeks, and I go, excuse me, and it was Kevin working in the booth. I said, I'd really like to work at that radio station someday. And he goes, yeah, get in line. Welcome to the East Coast. We're not in Haight-Ashbury anymore. God bless you, Kevin, Michael Anthony Thompson, Nick McElwain, Chris Ashcraft, who was better known as Pancake. And you can call him Pancake. His kids are short-stacked. We have our amazing staff of DJs, Preston and Steve, Kathy, Casey, Nick, and Marissa. We have Jackson and Sarah in the afternoon, and there's no one like him, the vampire, the full-time vampire, Jackie Bam Bam. He is rock, he is roll. And we've got Brent Porsche on the overnight show. You see, we're live and local 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 365 days a year, and we've been doing that for 51 years. At MMR, there's always somebody home. I love that. I mean, it keeps our listeners company. We play music for them. We speak to them, not at them. And we try to help as well in the community, from the smallest neighborhood benefit block parties that help a charity, to Preston and Steve conducting the largest single food drive in the United States with their Camp Out for Hunger coming up in December, and the largest single blood drive in the summertime with the American Red Cross. Both of those for an amazing cause, and they're both going on to be the biggest in the whole United States. But it's our listeners I got to thank the most. They've allowed us to be here so long. And the analogy I often use is of a train pulling out of a station. Our train started in 1968, our MMR Love train, if you will, and making various stops along the line. Some listeners got up, but many got on. And that's generation after generation. So the kids that were in t-shirts and jeans listening to the station when it started in 1968 had kids. And they had kids. And they had kids. And what that means is we are blessed to share their life and their journey. We provide a soundtrack and a person on the air who is there. And there's an intimacy that television, great as it is, cannot match, because radio goes into all these nooks and crannies and special places that can move people that you wouldn't expect. For example, it's not uncommon for me to get a request from a funeral procession where someone has lost someone special, and they're in a car on the way to the gravesite, and they call me and they say, could you play a request? And I do. And it helps them. An hour later, I might very well get a call from a delivery room where another group of people, a couple, have welcomed a new life into this world, and they're joyful about it. Could you play something to celebrate that joy? And I do. Their journey is our journey. It's a sacred trust. You know, we spend a life with them. Weddings, divorces, graduations, moments, high points, low points. We're there for them. And the thing that binds it all together is the music. I have one more story of a listener that wrote us 2 weeks ago, and this just blew me away. The email was to all the DJs, and this guy had struggled for a long time. He had a huge drug problem. He had been in and out of prison. And then he was released and was able to maintain his sobriety for a full year. But things were not getting better for him. And he was wondering what to do, and he was more and more discouraged. And he decided, I'm going to go and buy a whole lot of drugs and overdose and kill myself, and if that doesn't work, I'm going to jump off the Ben Franklin Bridge. I swear to you, this is what he wrote. And there was one other thing, though. It happened to be the afternoon of our annual summer concert, the Emma Barbecue, and he had a ticket. And he said, I've got a friend there, maybe I'll go. And he went, and he saw these bands, this music. And then the final band of the evening is a band called Shinedown, which are very popular right now. And the singer, Brent Smith, has been through his own demons and his own monsters. And time after time from the stage, he radiates this hope. And he says, you make a difference, you make a difference. You think you don't make a difference? You absolutely do. You count. You're part of our family. You're welcome here. Everybody is welcome here. And that guy left, transformed. And he said, I'm not going to do that. And he's been doing incredibly well ever since then. Music saves lives. It's that simple. That's part of that sacred trust I was telling you about. It's the music. It's not just rock. As Keith Richards says, don't forget the roll. That's how Keith talks. Don't forget the roll. Because to me, it's all rock and roll music. And you cannot categorize it in anything from classic to alternative to oldies, newies, whatever. It's all music. Musicians don't think in those terms. You know, that's why Dave Grohl of the Foo Fighters wants to play with members of Led Zeppelin and Paul McCartney. It transforms. It doesn't have boundaries, and it never has, and it never will. It's all rock and roll. From the Beatles to Bruce, Bon Jovi to the Beastie Boys, from Billy Joel to Billy Joe Armstrong from Green Day, from James Taylor to James Hetfield of Metallica, from Sinatra to Santana, the Stones to Shinedown to a young band we're playing called the Struts, not just the S category. It's all rock and roll. Look around this room. From Bach to Beethoven, Evelyn Champagne King to Kings of Leon, from the OJs to the Offspring.